Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be time alone in your man cave. Well, I've got an email here from a woman. It's short and sweet, brief, to the point. She's got this guy that she was involved in a relationship for, she's been single for a year and a half after they were together for 4.5 years. And then this past February, he got back in touch with her. They started hanging out. Things progressed. They were talking about moving in together, having kids, the white picket fence, the whole 9 yards. And now, just recently, he's backed away saying, I just can't do anything committed. I got to do this. I got to do that. And obviously, she really loves this guy. And she's like, what the hell do I do? So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we're going to go through her email. And the quote says, men tend to solve their problems by spending time alone in their man cave to think and contemplate alone. Women tend to solve their problems by talking about them with someone who listens and is supportive. Men often mistakenly assume their women want advice when they simply want their men to listen and be supportive. Women often mistakenly assume that men want to talk about their problems and try to force conversation when they simply need time alone in their man cave. Men would be better off asking women when they are unsure what they need by simply asking if they want their opinion or if they simply want them to listen. Women would be better off if they simply asked men if they needed time alone in their man cave and then give them the time and space to do that. Coached a lot of women over the years. That's a big problem because women think that men are more like them, and men tend to think women are more like them as well. Whereas the reality is we have different communication styles. Us guys, we tend to be contemplators. We need time alone to think, to strategize, smoke a bowl, have a nice cognac, sit in the man cave, hang out in the tool shed, and we figure out our own solution. Women, on the other hand, talk about it and share. If you ever watch women together, they're really perfect at empathizing and understanding where the other one is coming from. And the average guy watching the conversation interactions going, what the fuck? That was all over the place. What the hell just happened? So with that in mind, you can see this woman's she's over pursuing a little bit and kind of trying to force things along, even though this guy was the one that reached out to her after all this time. Remember the Thich Nhat Hanh quote, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. And it's obvious from how this guy is reacting that he is feeling a little smothered and he doesn't feel free. And so, like any man, it's like that you want to be with somebody, but you also want the freedom. And when you're in a relationship, you're teammates. And if one of the people on the team doesn't feel like their needs are getting met, or they're losing themselves, or they're having to compromise who they are to make somebody else happy, they're going to haul ass, like the runaway bride or runaway groom, if you will. And when somebody needs space or time, if you're happy, if you feel whole, you feel complete, you got a great life full of great friends, great hobbies, the other person doesn't want to hang out, hey, no harm, no foul. Go hang out with your friends, and when you figure it out, get in touch. The worst thing you can do, whether you're a man or a woman, is keep trying to twist the other person's arm to spend more time with you. That comes from neediness. That comes from feeling like you're not good enough, you're not worthy. So you try to force things. You try to control the other person. You figure if I could just get around them, they'll change their mind. And I'll win them over. What actually happens is you chase them right out of your life. So she says, hi, Corey. I've been single for almost a year and a half after being in a committed relationship for 4.5 years. This February, my ex contacted me out of the blue saying he wanted to talk. I went over, we had a few drinks, and he apologized for how things have happened between us, and he wished that he had contacted me sooner. After a few days, I started staying the night at his parents' house again. So he lives with his parents? We started talking about buying a house and having children as soon as next year. Now, if you think about the old movies, 40, 50, 60 years ago, the women were always like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him to marry me. I'm going to get him to put a ring on that finger. And the guys went kicking and screaming to the altar. But in the end, because they loved the girl, they always did it. But in the movies that you see today, the roles are completely reversed. And you got the men acting like women and the women acting like men. And you see that several thousand times from the time you're a kid till you grow up, and you think that's normal. And so when you behave the way you see on TV and the movies, you get restraining order put against you. You're like, I did what I saw on my favorite TV show. I chased and I chased. She goes on, she says, we talked for a few months and I thought we were on the same page. Last few weeks, I noticed him being moody about his space. What was great, one of my ex-girlfriends, one of the ones I wrote about in my book, who I'm still great friends with to this day, what I loved about her is that she could tell when we were together that when I needed time, she'd just go, Qua, do you need time alone in your man cave? I was like, yeah, baby, that's exactly what I need. So few women get that. And she was great because she gave me the space, and I'd go and I'd contemplate, I'd do whatever I needed to do, whether it was going to the gym or hanging out with friends or whatever. After a while, I'd come to a conclusion about whatever the problem was I was working on, and we'd hang out again and everything would be back to normal. But when you don't give that other person space, it's the worst fucking thing. So if you're a woman watching this, it's a great thing to say to your man, do you need time alone in your man cave? And if he says yeah, then say, great, why don't you get in touch with me when you figure it out? And if you want to talk, I'm happy to talk. And if you just want to hang out, we'll hang out. So get in touch with me and I'll say that. And if you're a guy, just say, us guys, sometimes we need time alone in our man cave or our tool shed. And it'd be really great if you give me that opportunity to do that. You got to ask for it. You got to ask for what you want and you got to explain. You got to mansplain it. And if you're a woman, just say, you know what, I really need somebody to listen and be supportive. I don't want your advice. I just want you to listen and be supportive, and it would be great. It would really help me out. Could you do that, baby? And I'm like, sure, honey. Because us guys, we're driven to be successful. And we want to succeed, and we want to make you happy. And if you're not happy, we take the blame. But if you are happy, of course, we take credit for it, even whether we're the ones that the reason for your happiest or not. Happy wife, happy life, as they say. So if the girl's happy, the guy says, hey, I'm an awesome dude. I'm an awesome boyfriend. I'm an awesome husband. And if she's not happy, he's going to feel like shit. And a lot of women tend to try to make the guys feel like shit because they're unable to communicate to the man what they need. But sometimes they do need advice. And if you're a woman watching this and you need advice, just say, I got this problem, this situation, and I want to tell you all about it, and I'd like your advice and your opinion. But if you just want to listen, say, I just need somebody to listen to me. Let me vent, let me talk. It'd be really helpful to me. You could just guide me through it, tell me more, don't leave anything out. What else? And when I go, I feel so much better. I'm so glad we talked. Things would be a lot easier. So I thought it would help if I went home, but after a few days, he told me that he really loves me and values what we have, but he wants to focus on saving his money to buy a house next year. And great. Sounds like you need some space. You got to give him the space. It doesn't sound like you gave him the space. It sounds like you're like, well, where do we stand? Instead of constantly needing reassurances, he just needed some time to go do his own thing. Remember, scarcity creates value. And so if he's had an abundance of you in his life after not talking for a year and a half, now all of a sudden you're talking about babies and houses and all that stuff after a couple of months, any guy's going to feel like, I got to get out of this shit. Fuck what I do. So let him go. Just tell him to get in touch when he figures it out. And you got to give him the space to do that. And when he starts missing you, he'll reach out. Tell him that specifically. Just give me a call when you figured it out or when you've had enough time alone, get in touch. And we'll hang out. And then you can tell me about it if you want or not. He doesn't want to be anything committed. And since that conversation, he calls and he texts less, but he tells me he loves me every day. Well, in this case, I'd let him come to you. I would back off a little bit because you're obviously smothering this dude. And notice what she says next. I am always the one calling and texting first. And I'm tired of feeling this way, but at the same time, I want to work through this. I love this man with all my heart. Now, most women will do all the calling, texting, pursuing. So there's really a fine line, a fine balance. Because some women that don't know any better, when they can feel the guy backing away, they do the same thing. They start to pursue and to chase and try to force themselves and get clarity. And sometimes guys, we just need time alone and the man cave. And so whether you're a man or a woman, if you're reaching out and the other person is valuing it, then it's fine, it's great. But if you see them starting to care less, starting to kind of take you for granted, then you do less. You give them that space, because you got to love in such a way that the other person feels free. And in this case, you being the woman, he's not feeling free. He said he didn't want anything committed, he wanted some time alone, and it doesn't sound like you gave him that time alone. In other words, he asked for something, and you said okay, but your actions weren't congruent with that. And the only reason your actions weren't congruent with that is because you, in essence, were losing your shit by not being in touch with him. So you can kind of see the same perspective, whether, in this particular case, it's a woman kind of doing the thing that most guys often do. And you got to recognize that when you're pushing the other person away, you got to let them go. Because at the end of the day, you could be the best girlfriend or the best boyfriend in the world, and it might not be enough for the other person. You could be the most awesome lover, most awesome person to be with, and if you're with a cheater and a liar, they're still going to cheat. So you got to give them the space to do it. See how their actions are. The whole idea is you come together to share their completeness, not to complete each other. And just from what I'm seeing here in your email, it looks like you're looking at him to complete you and be the total source for your happiness. And so it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. At some point, they're going to start to feel like they're being smothered and you're forcing yourself on them. So give them the space. Let them reach out. Don't worry about the commitment thing so much at this point. Things were going well and hot and heavy for a while, and so more than likely, if you guys broke up a couple of years ago, it might be for the same types of reasons. And he came back because, let's face it, he probably didn't find anybody better. He started missing you, and he reached out, and that chemistry, everything was right there. I would say obviously the email's short, but I would say that's the one flaw in the way that you've been showing up, is that you're coming off as being needy and insecure, and you're kind of smothering your dude, and he just wants to get the fuck away. So slow down in the house and the picket fence and moving in together and all that kind of stuff. And don't worry about it. He'll contact you when he starts to miss you again. But if you keep doing it, if you keep obsessing over it and keep trying to lock him down and force him to want to be with you, eventually he's going to bounce for good, because he's already saying, hey, I don't want anything committed. So just leave the dude alone. Give him some space. Give him some time. You got to love in such a way that the person you love feels free. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a phone session or a Skype audio session with yours truly, and I'll be happy to help you, whether it's a relationship thing or it's a career thing or it's a business thing that you need help with, or maybe you just kind of hit the wall in your career and you're kind of scratching your head going, what the fuck do I do next with my life? I'm not getting up every day going to work excited and enthused. Maybe you just need to make a few changes, which by asking you specific questions, I can help you discover what that is. Or maybe you just need to go in a completely new direction. I'd love to help you. I'd be honored to help you. And I will talk to you soon.